Hello and welcome to the Max Revenue Show. I'm your host, Trey Shields, along with the Zen Master of Commercial Insurance, Micah Salas. Micah, how are you today?
I am full of Zen and vinegar.
And in vinegar. Do me a favor, adjust your camera so your dome is towards the top of the lens. There you go.
Hold on, I'm going to change my background lighting real quick too. So it's not so fuzzy, you know?
Dang, look at those legs. I ain't seen them legs in a while.
See those calves? Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Those are football player legs.
Oh,
Rugby
God,
legs.
here we go. You couldn't squat 225 to the ground if you tried.
Dude, I'm all on this Tai Chi lately.
Yeah, I bet you are.
So ever since turning 40, blowing up my back 6 weeks ago, I'm like straight Tai Chi. No more back injuries.
This guy you just claimed that you're Mr. Rugby football guy, and you're talking about getting your back blown out. I'll keep it G-rated, but that's not real manly.
Kettlebells, dude, they're dangerous if you don't do them right.
All right. So, title of this episode is to 10x your prospecting. Do this before every session, something like that, or Micah's pregame routine guaranteed to maximize your prospecting efficiency. I don't know. We'll come up with some title. You get the gist. But before we get into the meaty details, let's talk about Insurance XDate. Micah, tell us how much you love Insurance XDate.
I love it so much. I wish I could put into words my deeply heartfelt feelings I have towards them. No, it's awesome. Go try it out. Go use it. It's integral in my everyday stuff. I've had several of you guys reach out like, should I do it? And the ones who do, I've get text me like, Insurance XDate's awesome, dude. This is crazy. I can't believe I've gone so long without using it, especially if you're in a state where they have like full blown all the information. But yeah, get a demo set up. It's awesome.
I mean, yeah, especially if you have the XDates and the premiums. I mean, good Lord, shooting fish in a barrel. You may not be able to put it in words, but they sure have on their website. And it is generate leads, win new biz. Insurance XDate is where new business begins. Industry relevant data delivered on a software platform built for sales, not research. Identify and engage with prospects in minutes. Keep track of your opportunities and get production done. You can try it for free. Link in bio. Shout out to Rob and the guys. Appreciate your sponsorship as always. All right, let's get into the meaty details. Micah, you wake up in the morning. You already have it scheduled on your calendar that this morning is going to be your prospecting block and you're doing cold calls. So tell us about your pregame routine. What does that look like? How do you get ready to kick ass and call names?
Man, it used to be different. Like I used to have to get a lot more hyped up to make cold calls. I don't know why. I think because that's before I changed my script but I used to be so in my head about like having to say the perfect thing, and I'd be driving to work practicing different scripts, or in between meetings I'd just be saying like what I wanted to say on a cold call. And we talked about like the mindset of like the IDGAF, I don't give a F, kind of like those kind of things. I had the sticky note. Now it's the cool part. It's like anything you practice. When you do it over and over again, you become it just becomes less scary, less intimidating, and you get to this point where it's just, and you just like now I just don't have to do a ton. But in the earlier days, I did feel like I had to do a lot more to get myself amped up. But now it's just like I just know what I got to do. I sit down and get it done. But like you said, the keys are you got to have a list and a CRM, and you got to have all the calls in there to start the day. If you're going through in the morning trying to like, who am I going to call? You're still trying to figure that out. You're kind of setting yourself up to fail. It's inevitable. And so that's the main thing. Have the list ready, have the CRM ready to go. You sit down, lock it in and hit go. There's things I do before I even get to work that help, right? Working out, meditation, eat a good breakfast, all that stuff helps. Like, if you come in there and you're super stressed out and you're pissed off and you have something else bugging you or whatever, then yeah, that's going to be lingering over you and it's going to bleed into everything else you do. So,
Are you a caffeine guy?
I am not. It gives me the jitters. I don't like that feeling. Are you?
Yeah, I'm weaning off of it. But if
I get too
you don't
jittery
like
from that stuff.
caffeine, you won't like cocaine.
Yeah, no, I've tripped on some other stuff besides cocaine before enough to say that I don't like the feeling of being out of I don't like that feeling, being out of control and not fun, not worth it.
All right. Anyways, all right. All right. Back to the pregame routine. Minus the key bumps. What all right, get into it. What would you do? You have like a list or like what are your thoughts?
Okay, so if you're someone listening to this and you need a pregame routine, I mean, what I would do is again have your calls, your CRM, all that set, but then the routine from what you got to do, go through your script a couple times in your head, right? Say it out, vocalize it even. I would do that out loud. I'd record on my phone. So I'd pull up my phone and I'd hit record and then I would say the script and then I'd listen back to it. I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. Maybe go through a couple of the key objections in your head just to kind of warm yourself up, right? So you don't get on that first call they pick up and you're like, blah, 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 they just puke all over them. So that's what I would start with, and then get your mind right. A couple of key things I like to think about after I kind of practice the script part, then I get my mind right. It's like, hey, the IDGF. It's just, remember we talked about this as well, where we say, the people you're calling are just like you and I, right? Just kind of reminding yourself of that. They're just a normal person. No one's special. Another thing I like to think about is, hey, we're just trying to help people. That's all I'm trying to do. Just I'm calling 40 people today. I just got to find one person that needs help today. Try to talk to the people, have a conversation, see who needs help and who doesn't. Those are all different things I like to remind myself of, because I think one thing that is really, I do 100% believe in is like what you be, I've heard this slogan before, but what you behold is what you become. And so like if you're visualizing and beholding in your mind of like sales is terrible, it's bad, it's I gotta be slick, I gotta be whatever, someone other than who you really are, you're gonna start to become that, or try to become that. It's not going to work, right? So instead, that's why I like the whole helping thing. It's like, okay, view yourself as just out there trying to help people, and if you view that, it's going to start to bleed into your tonality and the way you talk and how you approach people and all that good stuff.
Okay, you sit down. Do you set a time goal or an activity goal?
I'm activity. I mean, I actually don't block out all my hours on my calendar, and I know a lot of people like to do that. The reason I don't.
No, you do that because that's what I say that you do on the max revenue. So that's what we're gonna go with.
No, we got to be real, man. I don't think it's a bad practice, but here's why I don't like always doing that, is because it's hard when you're setting appointments internally and externally, and all of a sudden you got like people can't see what's going on, but you're always busy, right? Or it's like, oh shoot, that's a call block. So that's why I don't like to do it, because logistically it kind of creates a challenge. I just know that I have to get that done, right? So I wake up in the morning and I look at my calendar and I'm like, okay, I got 2 appointments. That means I got to make. So going into that day, I know I got a window between 8 to 9. I got to get out 20, and then I'm swamped the rest of the day. But I got one other window from 1 to 1:45. So then I know, okay, those aren't my normal call times, but I got to hit those times now because that's what the day requires. And so I think sometimes we can get so rigid that it's like it's kind of becomes a hindrance. So you got to be flexible. In my opinion, I prefer more be flexible than having like a blanket call block. Or if you're going to do that, block your time, just go day by day. Don't go like, I'm setting this every day from 10 to noon. It's going to come on your calendar for the rest of the year. Boom, call block. That to me is, I know we've talked about that before. I think you liked that method. I don't, because of what I just talked about. So I would say if you're going to call block, go day by day. I won't even do the whole week. I would just say, because it just changes so much. As you know, you get a book, you get clients, things pop up, issues pop up, renewal goes sideways. I mean, there's so much different things that can come up, and it's going to become more difficult. And the guys listening to this that are more seasoned, you know what I'm talking about. If you have a book, it just becomes challenging.
I know tracking your stuff is really important. So when you and I first started working together, you told me to get a scratch piece of paper or like a notebook and
Yep.
write down whatever little tagline worked for me. I know you have yours. Who needs help today? And then also you're really big on literally knocking off the I can't articulate it.
Just making tallies physically with your
That's what
hand
I'm
and a
looking for. You
pen.
tally off every call you make, and so you tally off. And so is it like, let's say you're 2 hours in, do you cut it off or do you try to get to 40 calls? That's what I'm saying. Like, are you activity based? I can move the goalpost really easy depending on how I feel about that thing in the situation. Like today, I was going to do 30 minutes of zone do cardio. When I got to 20 minutes, or when I got about to 15 minutes, I started saying, well, I mean, like 20 minutes at, 20 minutes times 6 days, I'm still hitting my numbers. And then, well, Jeff's over there. I really want to go talk to him. I better go see him before he goes and, and so it's like,
Yep.
I am very undisciplined. I'm very disciplined in doing the thing. Like if I'm going to work out, I'm going to work out. But I always mold things in the moment.
Negotiate with yourself.
Yes.
No, and that's
What's
why.
your take on that?
So my take is yes. So if you want to say goal oriented, yeah, my goal is 40, right, for the day. To your point, I like to have a firm number because if you don't, be like, I'm just going to make calls from 9 to 10 and then 1 to 2. You're going to make less than if you would make. You're going to make less calls than if you had a goal, because what's going to happen is you're going to be like, you're going to like go up, get a cup of water, do things, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I made 25 calls, not bad. But the reason so you're going to be 15 short of 40, and I've talked about this before on an old Diary of a New Producer episode with Ian. We looked at his call volume over a year, and he was always making like 30 calls a day, whatever, 25. But you add that up over a year, dude. And then you look at the conversation, and you kind of get down, you filter down, how many different, he probably missed out on 20 different meetings, right? That he could have had if he'd have just hit 40. And hundreds of probably extra 100 or so conversations. And as you know from previous conversations, it doesn't take a whole lot to be successful. The difference between a successful year and an unsuccessful year can be one account. So when you're a newer producer,
that's a hell of a line. That's really
isn't that crazy to think about? I mean, I look back at 1 year, dude. So I haven't missed 100K of revenue since I started. Right. And my first year, you could say, is up for debate. I think I did like 55K, but I cross sold a 100K EB account. So if you give me no credit on it, I'd be at 55. If you give me half credit, I'd be at 100K, whatever. That's year one. But ever since year one, been doing this now 11 years, never been below 100. But there was 1 year, dude, I was like sitting there having a crappy year. It was like year 3 or 4. I just had 2 good years, and I was at like 80K of revenue. I'm like, I just didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel to get to the 100. Like it was October or September, meet with a prospect, meeting goes well. I'd cold called the guy the year before, so call me back, call him back. He was frustrated. Dude, I get the AOR for a 1230 X date. I get the AOR on October 30th. And this was my biggest account I'd written. This was $1 million plus premium account. Get the AOR on it.
Was like all the saltwater trucks.
They did some. They were an environmental contractor, yeah. And but the craziest part is, it was a 1229, and it was all E&S. So it was basically all they had to pay, all the revenue would be recognized right then and there on the X date.
Very nice.
Like, yeah. Yes. Dude, so I land the AOR. It books 1229. I get all so my year, I ended up doing like 100, let's say 190K that year. And it was like, so I looked like, oh, Micah had a great year, but if I would have missed out on that deal, I would have had a crappy year. So it's just funny how that goes, right?
So no caffeine. Get a good solid breakfast in, get the blood pumping, do some meditation, prayer, spirituality, whatever your thing is. Show up, get a pen and a pad. Put your little line, put whatever your motto is, whatever. Get ready to tally. Then we want to do a couple dry runs. Maybe take a look at your objections. Previous podcast, or maybe the one before, was kind of your one big generic podcast. That's actually why I called. That's the best. Go back and listen to that. Anything else you want to add to your pregame routine?
No, I think.
Oh yeah. Set a time or activity goal.
Yeah, I think a couple things. Just to add some context to on the mindfulness part or meditation. It's called meditation practice for a reason. A lot of times people think like you're going to have some crazy spiritual experience or whatever. It's not. Just sitting there in stillness. But it teaches you how to practice kind of like being okay, being still, but also being very aware, because you're supposed to notice thoughts and stuff and whatever's popping up, right? And the reason I like it, it's called a practice. You get into the real world, you're out there making cold calls. Things fly at you fast, right? People say things, you're caught off guard, or they answer a certain way, whatever. If you're practicing stillness, meditation, mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, when you get into the real world, that's where the growth occurs, because now it's like, how do you integrate that into your everyday real life, right? Are you going to get pissed? Are you going to blow up? Are you going to get cold call reluctance because someone screamed at you? Or are you going to let that, hear it, observe it, take a step back internally and be like, all right, that's just one person's opinion. Guess he doesn't need help. And you keep things in perspective. You stay calm. And now instead of getting up out of your desk and being pissed off and having to go outside and throw a football around with buddies, or leave work and, or go scroll LinkedIn to get your mind off things, you're actually totally fine just sitting there, letting those feelings come up, letting them pass, and you go on to the next. You don't miss your whole call block. You don't let one bad call screw you over. So,
yeah, you liked that post this morning, didn't you?
I do. I did. I read it really quick.
I can't take credit for it. I actually just riffed on a video you did a couple of months ago. So.
Oh, I knew. Every time you do a post, I'm like, oh, this is my topic. He's rewording it.
Come on now.
By the way, if you're listening and you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go do that, because I do a ton of these videos that are like, we talk about it beyond just the X's and O's of insurance, where we get into like this stuff, real things people go through, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, or whatever, that impact everything else, right? So I do short videos on there a lot, where I get more on that, where I don't share that stuff on LinkedIn as much, just because I don't want to. But on YouTube, I just don't care.
Head at the top of the camera.
What's that?
Put your dome at the top of the frame. There you go. It makes for awful video clips when it's like, there you go.
Okay.
If we actually wanted to make any money, we would transition out of like trying to sell newbie or stuck producers on a little rinky-dink 197 course, and we do some like the enlightened seller. You know what I mean? Something like that, like the
enlightened insurance agents.
Huh?
Yeah. Enlightened insurance agents.
No, get out of the insurance. I mean, we go just straight sales. It's just the enlightened seller.
Yeah.
Enlightened sales. Or sales with a soul. Dang.
There we go. Let us know.
Then you actually open up a way bigger market. And then it could actually be to uber successful people as well as up and coming. So then we probably actually make way more money doing that. Right now, we literally make enough to like we can each take a family vacation.
Yep. And we appreciate all you guys who bought the course and support those family vacations once a year.
Yeah. That's not to throw shade. It's not to throw shade. We appreciate you. But we're not doing this to get rich, tell you that. Anyways, that's cool, man. Yeah.
So anyways, that was the whole, I wanted to add some context on the meditation stuff. And then the other thing on the activity side, the 40 goal, you asked before about like, hey, if I don't hit my 40 or whatever, the reason I like 40, because here's the deal. You could hit 40 calls in 2 hours and maybe you have free time. I think there has to be some nuance around this, because like you could hit your 40 a day. You have 4 hours left in the day. Now you can use that 4 hours to go learn, study, go on LinkedIn, do whatever, create a book. I don't care what you want to do, network. But I like the 40 because you also don't burn yourself out. If your goal is 100, you're going to sit there and just burn. You're going to be like, man, I'm just this job sucks. I hate this. I'm just like telemarketer. And so I just like the 40 because it gives space to do all the other stuff without burning you out. But at the same time, when I was starting year 1 or 2, there was plenty of days where I made 60, 70, 80 calls because I had the time. And I was like, you know what? I had a vision, a dream. I want to be successful. And for me, cold calling was the way, right? And so I would invest that extra time in making calls. So that's just some background on the whole 40 number.
Yep. All right. So now I didn't tell you about this, but we're going to flip the script a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, let's see how sharp you are. What are some well, I'll throw it out there for you first. I'll kind of like volley it to you and then you can bring it back. So let's talk about some pre-game routines that aren't worth our time, or maybe are things that a lot of people do that's maybe not beneficial, even though they feel like it is. So I'm going to give you one, and we'll see what you say. Like super prepping or researching, right? I've been in sales in some form or other my entire career. Not always insurance, whatever. I've been in charge of sales teams where it wasn't just me. I'm in charge of, a group of people. And one of the things, like when I would, with myself and with them, is like, I call it like getting ready to get ready. It's like, you don't really want to do the calls. So like you over prepare, you over research, you got to get like your pencil just right and sharp. And then you got to get this, and I got to have my tunes, and well, let me get like my coffee's got to be perfect. It's like it's really just procrastination in disguise.
Yep.
So that's one, is like over prepping, over preparing. Do you have any that you can think of, or anything you want to add to that?
That's a good, that's probably my biggest thing I see for people is just over, I think research is procrastination in disguise. When I say that, yeah, there's gonna be some people that get their feathers ruffled, but it's the over research, and I don't think it needs to go longer than a minute or two. You pull up, boom, boom. Especially this is why niching is helpful, right? But man, what else would I add to over researching?
I have one more if you don't have one.
Go ahead.
Like the super motivational like YouTube talks, or like
yeah,
the upbeat music or whatever. I actually have found, thanks to you, that like all that is just a dopamine high. You know what I mean? And so like
it's a way to distract yourself from the root cause of what's really your problem. The root cause is
also like if you live on a roller coaster, when you go up, there's got to be an equal opposite down.
Yep.
And so like I have found across many things in my life, the more I can just stay even keel, the less the extremes are. And I'm a very extreme person. I have a very addictive personality. I ride extremes. I have a compulsive personality. I get phones ringing. I go up and down. And so like I've actually found, I used to always jam tunes and get pumped up and watch something, and I've actually found that if I'll just like chill and just like try to take those extremes out, it actually makes it easier to make the calls. It makes the rejection hurt less. You know what I mean? Like it's like you just, like they say in recovery, like, man, I'm just wearing life like a loose garment. I'm just ebbing and flowing with things as they come and go.
Yeah, that's key. It's that's why what I was saying, kind of alluding to there, is to your point, it's a dopamine hit, right? So a dopamine hit, it's nothing wrong with a dopamine hit. A lot of things in life are dopamine hits, right? But a lot of times we use it as a crutch. So there's nothing wrong with a dopamine hit, but if you're using that to avoid something deeper, then that becomes a problem, right? And so if you're using the motivational stuff, like you said, to avoid your true feelings of cold call reluctance or procrastination or fear or whatever, the more important question is, why are you feeling those things, and what's the root cause of those? Because you get through that and you work through those things and you fix them, it's going to make everything. Then you don't need the motivational music, right? You just show up and you feel totally peace and calm. Like I said, like now I make calls and I'm just like, I don't feel like this internal fear. I just sit here, pull up my list. Yeah, I'll feel a little bit here and there if I'm calling some big name CEO at a company. That's natural. But I let it pass. It goes through onto the next. It just becomes way more easier. And then to your point, you don't have the ups and downs. So, and this, side note here, when we talk about, distractions, and distractions are probably one of the worst things that's happening to us as a society, and so maybe it's like being in sales. Maybe you got to be on your cell phone or on LinkedIn as you're making cold calls, right? You can't just focus in. I'm guilty of it. That's all just a distraction, right? Instead of being totally honed in, totally focused. I put a video on this on our YouTube channel as well. Like, I met a business owner. This is an interesting story. Business owner flying to Florida for the family vacation. Guy's 53. He just sits next to me, starts chatting with me, and dude, he was dressed just like your average Joe. Not first class, for those wondering. I wasn't flying first class. And we start talking, and he's like, dude, I sold my business. And I was like, oh, cool, cool. I was like, what was your company's name? Tells me his name, dude. I cold called the guy back in 2020. I was like, hey, I called you, man. Like, we spoke on the phone. Like, I don't expect you to remember me, but we spoke. And I was like, you have like a CFO, right? It was, and this is not meant to be racist or anything, but it was an Indian guy, right? Like, he's like, yeah, said his name. I was like, yeah, we met. I drove out to your farm, and him and I met, and I just told him I think you were in a good spot, like your pricing was good. Or he's like, oh yeah. And anyways, so full circle moment there. And then he sells his company, $20 million. Had some real, he told me the whole background story, how he bought the company, all that stuff. But his last thing, he told me one of the last things before we kind of departed on the plane was, hey man, one bit of advice, like, don't work as much as I did. He's like, I said, oh, is that what cost you the family? Because he got divorced about 15 years ago when he was about 40, about my age now. He's like, yeah. He's like, that was it. I was just working all the time, man. He's like, it just probably wasn't fair to my wife, and he's moved on. He's not like, in a deep depths of despair or anything. He's got a longtime girlfriend now and all this other stuff, but you can still kind of hear that like regret in his voice a little bit. And so it made me think of something interesting, the way my angle on it. He said, don't work as much as I did. He didn't say don't work as hard. So I think this all has a point. We're talking about focus and distraction, all this other stuff. When you do work, be very focused and intentional in your work. And then you have time to devote to your family, to all other stuff when you're outside of that 6 to 8 hour window a day that you want to work. Right. And so that's the whole point, is just be focused, man. Don't be so distracted at work. Come in there like kind of with a mission, and just and work on that focus, because we all need to. So.
Dang. Take it home one time. Well done. Mic drop. Well, let's end it there. Guys, gals, we appreciate you listening. We know you have a lot to do. And the fact that you take time to listen to us two idiots talk about this stuff, we really appreciate it. Again, link to everything in the show notes. We send out a weekly newsletter. Sometimes it's on Mondays. Sometimes it's on Tuesdays. Sometimes it's on Wednesdays. It is what it is. But we send one out. We also have if you want to go further down the rabbit hole and learn Micah's methodology of basically how to go from cold calling cold prospects to winning deals, we have the producer playbook. The link to that's in the show notes. It's only like $197 at the time of this recording. And then also your free trial for Insurance XDate will be in the show notes as well. And again, we appreciate you, and we will catch y'all next week.
Adios.
All right, everybody, be good.